Welcome to another episode of In Your Business. Today we're going to meet with a very interesting individual who works with entrepreneurs every day at the Innovation Center. She herself is an entrepreneur, but she spends her day helping other entrepreneurs. So Kate, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of fun today to learn about what you're doing in downtown Richmond. The Innovation Center is located there on Main Street, and it's open to the public, it's open to entrepreneurs. You have all kinds of different individuals coming in doing many different things. And it's going to be fun just to get to know you and then get to know about what you're doing at the Innovation Center.
I'm really looking forward to it.
So typically I bring entrepreneurs on and we get to know them and then get to know their business. Today we're going to get to know you and then get to know that business. However, it's interesting because the Innovation Center is there for entrepreneurs.
Yes, it's there for startups and it's there for currently established businesses. It's a business resource.
Great. So it's a great location. So let's go ahead and start with getting to know you, Kate.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background as far as, I know when I talk with entrepreneurs, I often want to ask, when they were a child, young, what were they thinking? What did they want to do? What did they want to be?
Yeah.
And same for you.
Yeah, so when I was young, I was definitely inclined to math and sciences and was on math team and thought I was going to become a doctor, was very interested in the sciences, but I also had an artistic side. And so I balanced the kind of creative and analytical sides of my brain in terms of my interests. And then I went off to college and got really stimulated by art history and kind of the historical context of objects and all of that. And so I decided to study that and got my degree in art history and wasn't sure what I was going to do with it professionally in terms of application, but I got a job at the Art Institute of Chicago and worked in publishing for a while. And being in publishing, there's still a very strong analytical component in terms of digesting content and producing it for an audience. It's not math and science for sure, but there's still a lot of that part of your brain that's getting used. So that's kind of where I went after school, and then I wanted to dive more into the craft practice and work more with my hands. So I went back to school to study bookbinding and visual communication. So I dove a little bit more into my studies and went back and got my graduate degrees in visual communication and bookmaking. And I really like antiquated practices and crafts. So yeah, I did that and then continued my museum work. I feel like there's a strong overlap between those craft-based practices, visual communication, visitor engagement, and getting the content out to a public. So I worked at College Museum for 3 years, developing an exhibition, a public exhibition that was actually centered around the book and bookmaking, and worked with exhibition development and really enjoyed that work. And while I was doing that, I concurrently started a makerspace that was founded around the arts. So we were working with the community to basically produce work that was centered in fiber and printmaking. So we had access to equipment, we were membership based, we had artist residencies, all that kind of stuff. So we started it from the ground up, and it was really great. So that's kind of my background.
It's kind of interesting to see how that kind of forms and comes together, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the only part missing is you didn't become the doctor.
Yeah, totally.
But it's not too late. I mean, you can bring all those practices together, become a doctor.
Totally. It's not too late. I do believe that I'm the kind of person that is always looking for how my skill set can evolve and grow, and I'm challenging myself. So my next kind of journey into the Innovation Center has been really the kind of building and kind of grouping of a lot of the things I've learned throughout all of my job experiences and all my community experiences and kind of formulating them in a new way. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of relationship to what I've done in the past and then adding in a couple new tricks into the bag, which has been a real fun experience so far.
Sure. I find that exciting, okay, because I've been a part of the Innovation Center for years.
Yeah.
Okay. I've watched it from ground up. And I feel like it's always been a little challenge for it to really identify with what it is and who it serves and how that all comes together. But one of the things I've always suggested is we need more than business. Business is such a small component of that.
Yeah.
Because if you're truly innovation it's everything.
Right.
It's from poetry to music to art to dance to business. I mean, there are so many things that could take place there.
Yeah.
And so it's more than business. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you're a lot more than business.
Well, it's true. I feel like I try in my daily life and my work life, which I feel like often blend, to be a sponge. And so I'm interested in lots of new things, and I do bring a creativity to any project I'm working on. And so I may be kind of I bring a new perspective to this position and to the space, maybe, especially with my museum background. It's kind of an atypical background to have for this, for an innovation center, I think. But my hope is that I will bring a fresh set of eyes to maybe a space that's been around, and introduce some new ideas, and also take what has been done in the past. There's been a lot of good work that's happened, and maybe with that fresh perspective, grow some newness to it.
Sure.
So yeah, I think I always see my professional journey has been kind of a winding road that's a mixture of my opportunities that have come, doors that have opened, and me being kind of willing to take on new challenges, and also my varied interests. I have a lot of interests, and so I'm not really defined by one thing. And so the Innovation Center, the varied nature of its of the entrepreneurs that we have in our space. We have a wide variety of businesses that we're serving. That means that I'm exposed to a huge variety of assets in our community, then the wide variety of programs we offer. It's really, it really lends itself to my personal interests, because I'm able to be exposed to so many different things, and therefore I'm challenged to need to learn those different things so that I can meet their needs. And so it's a really a good fit for me personally, because I feel like I'm able to adapt and therefore kind of try to meet the needs.
Well, I think it's interesting because one thing I want to do is back up just a little bit and make sure that the people watching know what the Innovation Center is.
I was just thinking that, actually. That's good. So the Innovation Center is had many different iterations and many different kind of missions and focuses over its 15 years, but it was founded in 2003, is my understanding. So it's been around for about 15 years at 814 East Main, right at the heart of downtown. And essentially, the way I've approached the Innovation Center in its current iteration is that it has three main tenets. We serve our, what I'm calling members, which are coworkers, and our tenants. Those are the entrepreneurs that have a need for space and resources to serve their daily businesses. So they come in, they work, they network, they partner with each other, but they take up occupancy in our building. So that's one branch of our services. The second branch is our programming. We partner, we have our Richmond social media, which is a huge program. It's been around for years, but it has taken up new life over the last year, which with Ashley Sieb and Laura Lee Heights taking over that. It's been great. So that meets once a month and has a huge following. Then we have partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. They run a business education lunch. And we have our Richmond Can series that's sponsored by Urban Enterprise Association. So we have a number of programs that meet different audiences within the Richmond and Wayne County area. And those programs really seek to meet the needs of the Richmond business community and beyond. So that's another kind of arm of our core mission and focus. And then I think the third main avenue, and I should also say, we're seeking in this period of staff transition as I'm getting settled to grow that programming. So look for more programs to come. And then the third real aspect I see is being an event rental resource and a program, a one-off kind of resource for anybody who might be looking for space resources for their own private needs. So if you're a business or a school or somebody that needs a space, a meeting space, a party space, anything like that, we're a resource for you to meet, gather, and grow either your business or your social enterprise or anything like that in a kind of one-off capacity. So we're a partner in a number of different ways, either through programming, space, or business development. And then one of our other aspects that I should mention, I'm negligent to not mention, is our partnership with the ISBDC, which is the Indiana Small Business Development Center. We're a satellite campus for them, and we have a business advisor on site 2 days a week that is free and available to any small business under 500 employees who needs consultation. So it's a huge resource. So we have a number of offerings to the community, and I think that kind of maybe not shortly defines kind of what we're doing.
Right, no, but it does. It's a great resource for business.
Yeah.
It's also a great resource for the public.
Definitely.
And I think sometimes when we talk about the Innovation Center, that may throw some people off because when we think about innovators,
Yeah.
when we think about innovation, we don't think of ourselves.
That's
Okay?
that's an excellent point. Yeah. I mean, all of those programs I mentioned are completely free and open to the public, anyone. And our coworkers and tenants, a lot of our coworkers are individual small business people who are looking to do a startup.
Sure.
And they're just like me, they're looking to just start a business. And the Innovation Center provides them a gateway to meet other people and get ideas and bounce ideas off of them. I mean, we had a great conversation in the lobby with a group of us just bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's a kind of I refer to it sometimes as a melting pot for ideas and a percolator of creativity. So it's a really unique space, I think, that it provides business resources and also kind of the safety of a community.
Sure. And I really think that what happens is it's kind of an unusual space, if you will. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And when people come and visit, they're surprised at what they see.
It happens
okay?
almost every time.
But people need to come and visit.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they think innovation, that's not me. They don't go because
Yeah.
they don't know what's in there, and they're a little
Yeah.
intimidated. They should come. They should
Yeah.
come take a look around. It's space. That's what it is. It's facilities.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I go there. I've ran programs there for my high school youth program, the BOSS program, as well as Marking Your Success. And it's been a great place for us to have like a 2-week workshop
Yeah.
or a 3-week workshop, very central, so we could go out, look at some businesses, study businesses, and understand the infrastructure of Richmond. But in addition, there's so many other things that go on. Richmond social media, once a month, 8 o'clock on
Yes.
Friday.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of people coming to that, and they're learning stuff.
Yes.
So it's not just a place you go 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and expect to do business.
No.
It's a place where you go for that 8 o'clock meeting for
Right.
1 hour, hour and a half, to learn something important about your business.
Yes.
And it could be entrepreneurs, but it could just be public.
Yeah, and a lot of the people who attend our programs are employees of established businesses. So it could be just members of the public. It could be that high level people in local businesses are sending their employees to get like skill building or like education for on the job training kind of stuff. And it could just be that it could be a resource for college students as well. I mean, I feel like our public is the community. And we want to be a community resource as well as a business resource. So, I mean, I think a strong economy is vital to a thriving community. And so we want to be a resource for building and bolstering that economy.
Sure. And I think that's the interesting part, too, is the discussions that can take place. If you walk in, it may be empty at the moment that you walk in. But you can start a conversation. Within an hour, there might be, half a dozen more people there
Right.
and sharing. You've got to be able to share those ideas.
Yeah.
You've got to come and say, okay, what if, and you start thinking and start making things happen.
Right.
So it's not an 8 to 5 thing.
No.
It's just not. It's more of a creative type
Yeah,
thing.
definitely. And speaking to that, myself and Jennifer Radford, our marketing and communication director, we both understand that a big part of our job is being available for those conversations. And so a big part of our job is talking, to people who come in and to the businesses who need our support and sparking those conversations. And so making time for the relationships is really important because I think a space like the Innovation Center and really all kind of business community centers revolve around the web of relationships and the web of community. And so without investing yourself in that, it becomes difficult to have that base. And so we've made a real effort to to do that intentionally and authentically. And that takes time, real time. So that's a part of our day
Sure.
to do that.
Sure. And I'm going to get back to what is the Innovation Center?
Yeah.
Only from a standpoint that people have said that to me for years, and
Yeah.
I think people have a hard time explaining what is the Innovation Center.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that. It's a place where people come together. A lot of them are entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
okay? It's facilities and it's resources for
Yeah.
our community in entrepreneurship.
Right.
Does it have to be technology? No.
No.
And if
Yeah.
somebody's interested in just a space where they can paint, it's a great place. You have wonderful windows at the front of that. I love coming there and just enjoying the windows
Yeah.
and watching the traffic go by and maybe reminiscing about, the old Richmond,
Right.
and talking about what the new Richmond should look like. But there's so many things that go on besides just, technology.
Yeah. Well, and I think with the hiring of our new trio of staff, the reformatting of the organization in terms of structuring so that Center City Development has Josh Russell, who's the executive director, and me, who's managing the Innovation Center, has kind of helped in terms of the identity of not trying to fit economic development within the Innovation Center, which I think has previously been somewhat of an identity challenge with
Sure,
the Innovation
sure.
Center. So I think moving forward, that will only help with us clarifying what our role is for the community. And I think that that's been a huge challenge in the past, is trying to do all of the things that a typical business, a co-working, incubation, whatever it has been in the past, and economic development. That's a huge order. So I think clarifying the roles in terms of Center City and then Innovation Center has been a challenging thing to communicate, but I think moving forward it will get easier and will help clarify the two missions
Sure,
and how
sure.
they work together, and how together they can serve the community's needs. So.
Well, I think it's important, too, that we understand that the Innovation Center, it's ours. Okay, when I say
Exactly.
ours, I'm talking about yours and mine, and it's everybody who's watching.
Yes.
It's anybody who's a part of this community.
Yes.
It's ours.
Yes.
And if somebody from Indianapolis comes and visits and they need a place to work, they go to the Innovation Center. It's theirs.
Right.
So it is a public place. It's a place that we should embrace and utilize.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times people think, well, it belongs to somebody or some organization. But it's ours.
Yes, we are a nonprofit, and we are part of the Indiana Co-working Passport. So anybody who is a member of the Innovation Center can go to any other co-working space, and vice versa. I think another thing to note on that same line, just in terms of the network of co-working spaces within Indiana, is one of the first things I did when I started the job is start researching other spaces in Indiana, and there aren't a lot of spaces, or I've had difficulty finding spaces in a city sized like Richmond. City sized like Richmond, of a similar demographic as Richmond, don't typically have co-working spaces or resources like the Innovation Center. And I think we should pat ourselves on the back for that, because when I went to go do research, I couldn't find a comparison to say, what's another city, what's another, like a parallel that I could go and research and see.
Sure.
And there's not one. I went to Indianapolis, I went to Muncie. Both of those cities, Muncie's similar, but it's much bigger.
Right.
And so to say that we're a city the size that we are and we have a resource like the Innovation Center, I think, and we've had it for 15 years, I think is a huge testament to what has been done for 15 years, and that the community should embrace it and use it, and realize that it's a lot for a city this size to have something like that.
It truly is. And,
yeah.
Here at the university, I meet with a lot of students. I meet with a lot of community individuals who come out.
Yeah.
And when they do, they come out to talk to me about entrepreneurship. They're interested in business. And as you mentioned, Scott Underwood's program there with the small business development is located there 2 days a week. I often send people to meet with Scott.
Yeah.
And it's a great free resource.
Yeah.
I mean, the state of Indiana is providing that we the residents of Indiana are paying for
Yeah.
it, but at the same time, we need to utilize it.
Totally.
If somebody wants to start a business and they need to know some information, if they want to know how many people within a certain income and a certain demographic are within 5 miles of where they're at, 10 miles, we have the software there to tell them.
Yeah.
We can help them write the business plan.
Yep.
I shouldn't say that too loud because students will want to go there and use it instead of their resources. But we can help write a business plan and develop a business plan with all the right information from the Innovation Center.
Right.
So,
There's a lot of resources, and I don't say this because I've only been there 90 days. These aren't resources that I've developed. They're
Right.
resources that I'm here to facilitate and cultivate and help nurture. But, the resources there are, and that's what excites me about being in this position is how can we make these resources known to the community? How can we create partnerships to help get them out there to the right people who need and want to take advantage of them to help grow the economy and grow the community. Because like I said, other cities of our size just, for whatever reason, maybe their economy hasn't been able to support a space like this, or maybe their community hasn't deemed it necessary to start one. But I think it's notable that we have one, and we need to leverage it as best we can.
Sure. But
So.
see, that's as we were talking about this, I'm thinking about entrepreneurs. Okay?
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurs change all the time. Okay. What they're doing today will be different than what they're doing 2 months from now. It's different than they did 2 months ago. And that's the fun part, the interesting part about entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
You're working with entrepreneurs all the time. And entrepreneurs come in so many different ways. I mean, it's, like I said, from art to technology to business to anything you can imagine. We have art, we have all those involved in entrepreneurship.
Right.
Okay? What's neat about the Innovation Center and what you're doing is bringing that together. If a person was to come down to the Innovation Center this afternoon and say they're interested in creating YouTube,
Yeah.
you would be able to turn them and connect them with somebody who's an expert in YouTube.
Right.
The same way, I do a lot of virtual reality, augmented reality, a lot of 3D printing. And if somebody came in, I'm not there, I'm not housed there,
Right.
but I'm a resource.
Right.
You would be able to either give them my card,
Yeah.
send them to the university, or you would contact me and I will come there and meet with them.
Right.
Not at that moment,
Yeah.
but maybe, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of that week.
Right.
So that's what's really great about the Innovation Center is the connections
It's all
and
about
the
those
resources.
Yeah, it's about those relationships and those partnerships and those connections, the community.
Sure.
Yeah.
And social media is such an important thing. There's a lot of businesses in our community who are not utilizing social media. And, Richmond's social media is
Yeah.
such a huge asset, and it's all from the Innovation Center.
Right.
And so bringing that together is important. And, I mean, it's amazing the tools and resources we have.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of us having to reach out and use them.
Yeah, one of my goals in the next year is to work with Ashley and Laura Lee and figure out, what's next for Richmond social media. How do we grow it? And, we're now in the process of archiving the videos and on YouTube and on our website. So we're slowly implementing new ways for Richmond social. I'm trying to look at each program and figure out how we can come up with new ways of growing them. Like what are their unique needs and what does the community need from them to make them increase their reach and figure out what the audience needs and respond. So, and then Ashley and Laura Lee drive that program. That's their program, but how can we help them attain their goals?
Right.
So.
There's so many of us willing to help others.
Exactly.
And you can't take advantage of that at the same time if you organize it properly and you schedule it properly.
Yeah.
The assets are just there. It's a wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
And as we start running down on time, I do want to come back to something, and that is, I know you've started makerspaces, and a lot of times people don't understand what a makerspace is. They often ask me, and what I say to them is, it's just an area where you create.
Yeah.
Maybe you're writing and you're doing some research. Instead of a library, you're using a makerspace.
Yeah.
Maybe you're doing some art, whatever it might be. You want to tell us about what it means to be in a makerspace?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I think that makerspace is an overused word because it's too vague. And it means something different to everyone, kind of like a co-working space. Like it doesn't mean much, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a community space where people are working. A makerspace to me, and the space that I worked with a team to found, we essentially were doing just that. We were coming around as a community to make, and in our particular space, we were making around printing, screen printing, relief printing, and weaving and sewing. But then, you know, you have a vision of what you're doing and people come in and they want to do different things. We had somebody who was doing photography and somebody was doing painting and we had figure drawing. And so I think the key to any successful space, and I took a lot of lessons from that space and have brought them with me to this space. And I think it primed me to come into this space with a lot of lessons learned. And one of those lessons was that you can only plan so much, and then you have to leave enough room for the community to inform and evolve a space. And that may seem like common sense, but in practice, I think it's more fundamental. So, for example, we had all this equipment, but then we actually physically had to like remove some of it to allow for the members to use the space as they wanted. So, to me, a makerspace is in the model we used is equipment, but it boils down to more just simply energy. Like it's the shared creative energy of a space that is around creating something physical. I think the difference between a makerspace and a co-working space is that you're creating something physical.
Sure.
You know, I mean, you might argue there's conceptual art. Yeah, okay. But I think that at the end of the day in a makerspace, you're making something physical.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Kate, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
I think you're doing a great job and continue to support entrepreneurs.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
This concludes another episode of In Your Business. Today we met with an individual who's supporting entrepreneurs across the city, across the community, and all the way across the state, actually. So if you're looking for a place to get motivated and you want to talk about entrepreneurship, if you're wanting to talk about what it is you're doing, come down to the Innovation Center. We have the resources, and Kate will be able to pull them together and make something great happen for you as well. Thank you again for watching In Your Business.